A flock of small drones packed with electronics and TNT can damage and even sink a state-of-the-art ship in a few minutes. Russian Navy sailors could have confirmed that, yet now they're at the bottom of the Black Sea together with their ships. And this leads us to wonder, can these innovative naval drones pose a real threat not only to the Russians, but also to the US Navy? You are about to find out. Few paid attention to this concise report from the United States Central Command. But we should have, because it sheds light on the use of naval drones by the Houthis for the first time in history. 2 naval drones, underwater and surface, were involved in the attack on American ships in the Red Sea. In response to that, the destroyers opened ferocious fire. Mark 38 artillery system and even the M2 Browning machine gun were put to action. These are the standard weapons of American destroyers. However, it is considered a means of close combat and is the last line of defense. That is to say, the Houthi drones somehow managed to trick the early warning systems and happened to be in less than 1 mile proximity to the ship. It's alarming, right? Fortunately, they managed to repel this strike. However, a naval expert and professor at Campbell University in North Carolina warns, while the Navy is well equipped to resist the threats of Houthis' weaponry, there are fears that the scale of the attacks and the Houthis' capabilities will expand. He's got a point. Until recent events, the Houthis primarily used missiles and cheap loitering munitions supplied by Iran. Yet, naval drones contribute to the expansion of the range of weapons. With those at hand, Houthis become hazardous enemies. You might assume that Houthis are savages. So to speak, their combat power is nowhere near as that of the US Navy. However, it is worth remembering that some types of weapons can greatly cut this advantage in the limits of the Red Sea. In military parlance, such a situation is acknowledged as an asymmetric threat. Therefore, American intelligence is trying to find out whether these drones are assembled in Yemen or supplied from abroad. It makes the difference because the supply of drones manufactured abroad can be managed by political methods, economic sanctions, or diplomatic agreements. Local manufacturing is challenging to control or destroy. If clandestine workshops are not shut down, the Houthis will have more means to inflict significant damage on American ships. An example of such an equal struggle of unequal opponents can be witnessed right now in the Black Sea. Ukraine, not having a fleet, forced Russian warships into the bays there. Every time they venture into the sea, there's a chance they might end up in a deadly trap. This year, things have gotten really tough for the Russian fleet. On January 31st, the Russian Tarantul-class corvette went on combat duty. As night descended, a flock of 10 Ukrainian naval drones located the fleet and launched an attack. Each of these drones carried as much as 450 pounds of explosives. Russian sailors attempted to fight back with 2 AK-630 artillery pieces of 30mm caliber and 1 AK-176 of 76.2mm caliber, the standard weapon carried by Tarantul-class corvettes. However, the number of attacking drones surpassed its capacity. In addition, hitting a target that is only 20 inches above the surface is very tricky. In the end, a few drones got too close to the board. The Russians were desperately shooting with small firearms. However, at least 2 drones reached the side of the corvette. Once the ammunition exploded, the ship with a displacement of almost 500 tons started to sink. This was only the beginning of dark times in the Black Sea for the Black Sea Fleet. Within 2 weeks, a flock of 10 Ukrainian naval drones tracked down a large Russian landing ship, Cesar Kunikov. The drones circled, attacking first from the port side and then from the starboard side. Initially, the Russians fought back using 2 standard shipboard 57mm AK-725 artillery guns. Later, they resorted to firing whatever weapons were at hand, to no avail. The vessel with a displacement of more than 4,000 tons got punctured in 6 places. When the ship got hit, ammunition went off inside it. Cesar Kunikov toppled over onto the port side and went under the water. On the night of March 5th, Ukrainian naval drones launched an attack and successfully destroyed the Russian patrol ship Sergei Kotov. During the year, this ship repelled 3 attacks, yet the Ukrainians changed their tactics, and this time the opponents failed to fight back. The Russian crew called for help, but by the time the Mi-8 helicopter showed up, it was already way too late. These recent attacks provide information on the modern tactics of using a flock of naval drones. The mission starts when the drones head to a specific location autonomously, following the pre-entered coordinates. Prior to the attack, the operator takes control of the drones. No software or AI can swiftly adjust to shifting circumstances and determine the best course of action during a battle. The initial strike is launched at the stern of the ship to deprive its mobility. It is in the stern where the propellers are located. The drone is loaded with enough TNT to cause serious damage. Furthermore, the rear of ships is usually the least protected, and there is no defensive weaponry. The second strike may be targeted at the same spot. Because of its amazing controllability, the operator can even steer the drone into an already existing puncture hole. Following the blast within the ship, chaos erupts on the deck as panic sets in. The sailors can't rappel anymore. Darkness, fire, and smoke stop them from understanding what's happening around them. Right at that moment, other drones of the flock attack the ship's side along the waterline until the ammunition on board detonates. According to Dr. Stephen Wills, who specializes in naval affairs at the Center for Maritime Strategy, the US Navy can draw valuable insights from both the achievements of the Ukrainians and the downfalls faced by the Russian Black Sea Fleet. The expert sees success in confronting American ships with sea drones in strengthening the firepower and constant vigilance of the crew. As for firepower, the American destroyers Arleigh Burke class, which are now on duty in the Red Sea, have superior weaponry compared to the Russians. According to some indicators, the Arleigh Burke class surpasses all existing ships in the world. But now, it is about melee weapons. Part of the Arleigh Burke class destroyers have 2 previously mentioned 25mm Mark 38 artillery mounts with the Bushmeister automatic gun and 4 Browning machine guns of 12.7mm caliber as the main weaponry. The other generation of Arleigh Burke class ships are equipped with 2 6-barrel 20mm Phalanx anti-aircraft artillery systems, known as the Fleet Index Mark 15, instead of the 2 Mark 38s found on other models. They also feature the same 4 Browning machine guns. In both cases, there are 6 firing points, twice as many as the perished Russian Tarantul-class corvette had. But will American sailors handle it right, having such weaponry, when they spot not 1 or 2, but 10 or 15 naval drones within 1 mile of their ship? Let's picture this. The Red Sea. The Houthis' naval drones autonomously reach the predetermined spot in the water area. Operators, even though they could be hundreds of miles away, are now in charge and all set for the fight. Part of the flock starts circling, and the other drones rush towards the ship. The fastest naval drones can attack at a speed of 59 knots. That's faster than 1 mile a minute. In other words, in a massive attack, the crew of an American destroyer has less than 1 minute to destroy all drones. Is it even possible? Honestly, the odds don't seem too favorable for the Mark 38's 25mm artillery when it's up against a flock of naval drones. The rate of fire is only 180 shots per minute. The ammunition consists of 150 rounds. If you fight back using a Phalanx weapon system, the chances look much greater. This system has saved ships in the Red Sea on multiple occasions. With Phalanx, there's no need for a shooter. It automatically searches, locks on, and fires. The American sailors nicknamed the Phalanx system R2-D2, after the quiet robot character from Star Wars. The Phalanx ammunition load is almost 10 times larger than the Mark 38. The rate of fire? An insane 3,000 rounds per minute. But the Russian AK-630 artillery system has a fire rate of 5,000 rounds per minute. And as we've discovered, it failed to cope with the massive naval drone attacks. Turkish Rear Admiral Hasan Ozyurt also analyzed this situation, using the example of Ukrainian drone attacks on Russian ships. He noted that with a massive drone attack, The ship's melee anti-aircraft systems proved ineffective because the drones are approaching faster than they can be hit. Admit it, it sounds terrifying. It turns out that American ships, just like Russian ones, may not be ready for a massive attack by naval drones. So far, there haven't been any cases where they've faced 10 or more drones at once. Luckily, the Houthis don't own that many, but the following thought of the Rear Admiral is even more shocking. Hassan Ozyurt is confident that after Ukraine's repeated demonstration of the concept of a massive attack by naval drones, we can predict that such weapon systems, or even more advanced versions, will quickly become widespread. Both governments and non-governmental bodies are likely to invest in and employ these technologies. If we analyze the evolution of Ukrainian drones, it serves as a confirmation of the point made by the Rear Admiral. Just a few months back, Ukrainian naval drones existed only as sketches on paper. Their initial samples hardly resembled dangerous weapons at all. One of these samples fell into the hands of the Russian military, who made its technical details public. The body of that drone was made of fabric and epoxy resin used by aircraft modelers. An onboard computer with a Linux operating system, a web video camera, a Starlink kit, a satellite antenna, and a router with SIM cards were found there. The engine of this primitive drone was a water cannon engine, which is commonly used on speedboats and jet skis. Ukrainians managed to organize the production of marine drones from scratch at underground factories and are rapidly making progress in quality and quantity. Constantly facing off against a much stronger enemy, they're managing to keep up. Currently, the Ukrainians have developed a version of a marine drone tailored for maneuverable mass strikes, alongside a distinct kamikaze model designed for rapid attacks. There are types that can carry up to 2,000 pounds of explosives, as well as models with a flamethrower. With such progress, a marine drone with air defense equipment on board no longer seems impossible. However, marine drones are not an innovation. The bomb attack on the USS Cole in 2000 is proof that this is by no means a new paradigm for naval warfare. Even during the American Civil War, Union sailors feared the use of Confederate deadly machines such as semi-submersible spar torpedoes. The first prototypes of maritime drones can be considered Chinese branders of the Song Empire. The first major victory achieved with the help of branders took place in the late 16th century, when the Great British Fleet completely defeated the invincible Spanish Armada in the Battle of Gravelines. What's truly groundbreaking is the ability to quickly develop a new drone and start its mass production using mainly commercially available components. Even the Houthis can buy most of these components. Iran can get them more easily, and for Russia, it takes even less effort. None of them are allies of the United States. Therefore, the following United States Central Command statements seem alarming. It is likely that the Houthis are already piling up drones for the next attack, or someone lends a hand to get it done. Do you think that naval drones might soon pose a threat to American ships in the Red Sea, potentially altering the balance of power there? Let us know in the comments.